All right, let's dive into something that's a huge part of any home sale, but can feel like a total mystery: the real estate appraisal. It seems like this black box, but trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see exactly how it all works. I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? Sometimes literally the million-dollar question. Is a house worth what the seller is asking? Or what the buyer is willing to pay? Maybe something totally different. Well, the real answer comes from a very formal, data-driven process. And that process is the appraisal. At its heart, it's just an unbiased professional opinion on what a property is worth. This isn't about feelings or wishful thinking. Nope. It's all about figuring out a home's fair market value based on cold, hard evidence. So, where does this all begin? It all kicks off with a visit. The first big step is the on-site inspection. This is where the appraiser actually goes to the property to see it with their own eyes. Think of it as their initial fact-finding mission. Now, you might be thinking this takes all day, but it's actually pretty efficient. A typical visual inspection is usually wrapped up in about an hour. These folks are pros. They have a clear checklist and know exactly what they need to look for. So what's happening during that hour? Well, they're running through a pretty detailed checklist. First, they're measuring the home to calculate the official square footage and sketching out the layout. They're also taking pictures of, well, everything. Every room, the front, the back, to document the home's condition. And, super important, they're doing a visual check on all the major systems: the foundation, the roof, the HVAC, to spot any obvious problems. Okay, so once the on-site visit is done, the appraiser kind of swaps hats. They go from being an on-the-ground investigator to a data analyst. The work moves from the property itself to the desk, and this is where the real detective work begins. To figure out what your home is worth, they need to see what similar homes are worth. They look for what are called comps, or comparable sales. The idea is to find similar houses in the same general area that have sold in the last 6 months. That recent sales data is really the #1 indicator of what the market is doing right now. And just to be clear, they are not just scrolling through Zillow. Appraisers are using official, super credible databases. We're talking the Multiple Listing Service, or MLS, plus public tax and land records. They need the most accurate info they can get their hands on. And this is kind of what it looks like. They literally put the features of your home, the subject, side by side with the comps. Now, since no two homes are ever exactly the same, the appraiser has to make adjustments. So if your home has an extra half bath that a comp doesn't, its value gets adjusted up a bit. If it's older than another comp, it might get adjusted down. It's all about leveling the playing field to find that true market value. But it's not just a simple game of comparing square footage and bathrooms. A really solid appraisal goes way deeper, weighing a whole bunch of other factors to get the full picture. It is so easy to think a home's value is just about how big it is and where it is on a map. But a professional appraisal goes much, much deeper. That final number is a careful balance of so many different variables. I mean, just look at all the things they consider. Of course, you've got the big ones like location and size, but they're also looking at the condition of those major systems we talked about. Have there been any recent renovations? Are there special features, like a pool or a 3-car garage? They even look at things outside the property itself, like how good the local school district is and what the current market trends are in that specific neighborhood. It's a truly massive evaluation. So, after all this data has been collected, analyzed, and double-checked, it all gets bundled into one final official document, the appraisal report. This is basically the grand finale of all that investigative work. And you should really think of this report as more than just a number on a page. It's the complete story of your property's value, but told entirely through data. Every conclusion in it has to be justified with clear, compelling evidence. So if you were to crack one of these open, what would you find? You'd see a street map showing your property and where the comps are located. You'd see that exterior sketch with the official square footage calculations. It'll have all those photos from the inspection of your house and the comps. Basically, it contains every single piece of supporting data needed to show exactly how the appraiser got to that final number. And here's a key detail. Once the report is finished, usually a few weeks after the inspection, it doesn't go to the homeowner or the seller. The appraiser delivers it directly to their client, and in almost every case, that's the mortgage lender who ordered it. The lender needs that report to make sure the property is worth the money they're about to lend. When you boil it all down, that's what an appraisal really does. It takes something totally subjective, what someone thinks a house is worth, and it transforms it into an objective, unbiased, and data-backed valuation.
It's a system that's really designed to protect everyone involved by getting to a credible, fair market value.
So that leaves us with a fun question to chew on. Now that you've seen all the different factors that get weighed, from the obvious stuff like square footage to the less obvious things like neighborhood character, what part of a home's value do you think is most often overlooked or undervalued? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for watching.